Welcome back to the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting right across the way from me is Mr. Kyle Briley, the president of the Georgia Canine Foundation. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Kyle, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me back, man. It's been about a year now.
Yeah, a solid year. Last time we were doing this, we were in the middle of So Yummy, sweating, and just kind of like exploring some things that you've been up to. So
yeah, that's right. It was a little warm.
It was. Interview. That's right. That's right.
You upgraded though.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been due to all the support, and thank you everybody for watching. So, Kyle, so let's hop into it. For the people that haven't seen the previous episode, I wanted to cover a little bit about what the Georgia Canine Foundation does.
Yeah, so basically we're a 501c3 nonprofit that assists active and retired law enforcement canines, and that can be through providing protective vests for dogs, heat alarm systems. Basically, it monitors the temperature inside the car and make sure it doesn't get too hot for the dogs. Training, which is a big part of what we do, training equipment, Narcan medical kits, and then we also assist retired canines if they need it.
That's awesome. And I guess, the initial question is, how did you first kind of get into that? Why was canine something that you became interested in?
Yeah, I'd always known that I wanted to be involved in some type of specialized unit when I got involved in law enforcement. And then I kind of saw how good Canine had it and like how fun it was, and so started slowly working my way there.
When did you see that? Like where were you at? Did you kind of like see a unit out there? Was it something that just kind of like piqued your interest?
Yeah, I was actually a dispatcher at one point, and just listening to what they did on the radio, and then wondering how they used their dogs and why they used their dogs. And then I started talking to the canine officers at the time, and then started going out to training with them, and then rode along with them, and then kind of got hooked on it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So you initially got your first canine, right? And then take me to the path where you start the foundation. Like, what encouraged you to kind of like create something that you were so like, into?
Yeah. So I got my first dog, Rio, in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And then around 2016, I was talking to a former handler who was telling me about his current medical bills at the time for his retired canine, and I wondered why there wasn't assistance for retired canines.
Yeah.
So I started reaching out all throughout the state of Georgia and the country, and realized that it's not uncommon for people to not get assistance once they retire these dogs, and
wow.
It kind of falls on them. So that's what we first started off doing, was trying to assist people who needed the help. Not everybody needed the financial help, but we wanted to kind of change that, because a lot of the public wanted to know why dogs weren't taken care of after the fact. And so we wanted to help kind of bridge that and kind of push to make that happen. Yeah.
What type of bills? Like, what are you talking about? Like 10,000, 15,000?
It depends on what happens to the dog.
Wow.
Like my retired canine who's going to have surgery, that'll be a costly bill. Right?
Yeah.
And thankfully my agency is very supportive, and they're assisting in that. So shout out to them, of course. But it can be anywhere between like $80 a month,
sure,
or up to. I mean, it just depends on the medical needs.
The issues, right? Yeah. Are the injuries like really sustained during the line of work, or like is that what you?
Yeah, I would say wear and tear definitely plays a part. These dogs are working, and they love working. And they don't know what they're doing when they're doing it. Like me and you, we can tell like, oh, we're getting older, but they're so focused and they're ready to work that they don't really think about it much.
Yeah. So let's talk about Rio.
Yeah.
Statesboro loves Rio.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that's the case?
I don't know, because I didn't really like push him out there or anything like that throughout the time I had him. Maybe it was just the mystery of Rio. I don't know. But when I started kind of posting more about him, I just think he has kind of a personality that a lot of people can relate to. And I mean, who doesn't like a dog, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And there's all these different platforms out there, and you've actually done an amazing job at getting content and producing content and getting that out into kind of like the world. What is the purpose behind that?
So our number one mission for the foundation is to raise awareness. Mm-hmm. And what other way to really do it and get a bunch of people, then do it on social media. And there's so many different platforms out there. So that was really the initial drive, was to raise awareness through social media.
Yeah. So, and have you seen success from that? What are kind of like some of the metrics that you've kind of like experienced through that?
Yeah, so at the beginning, of course, like anything, it's really difficult to get
Mhm.
traction. But once you get it going and you start putting out content and you start engaging with the people who are supporting you, it starts to spread. And then, of course, some content will do better than other content, and you'll reach more people. So, of course, over the past couple of years, we've definitely seen growth, and in return, that's helped us out with just connections, with
Sure.
just people across the country and the world. Or, of course, we're driven by monetary donations, so that obviously helps as well.
Do you see donations flowing in because you're putting out content?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? It's so interesting to me because I'm a huge supporter of content, right?
Mhm.
Like, I have the content studio, all the organizations that I'm involved with. We consistently try to put out quality content because that's what the world is consuming right now.
Yeah.
I saw a statistic out there recently that was saying maybe as high as 80% of content that is consumed on social media is video,
Mhm.
right? And that's wild. Do you do a ton of video content?
I try to. Of course, I do have a full-time job as well, so
Mhm.
sometimes we get a little bit busy with that. But in 2020, we obviously everybody had a little bit more downtime. So
Sure.
I learned a lot about content and content creation. Still have a lot to learn, and that really kind of pushed things for us. So of course, bad things were going on in 2020, but it helped us out a ton as well.
From a nonprofit kind of like standpoint, because again, I think I treat a lot of things such as business, like
Mhm.
right in terms of business. What has been the most successful move on the social media side for you guys?
Just more content, pushing
Mhm.
it out, showing people what they want. They'll tell you what they want to see based off the engagement. And of course, you're fighting the algorithm that you don't have a lot of control over. But
And that's always changing.
yeah,
For
always
whatever
changing.
reason,
Yeah,
it's always kind of
it's
flipping
always
and changing.
But that I would say that's pretty much the main thing, is just putting out more content for people to see, because people want to see stuff from you if they support you.
Yeah. Yeah. What about platforms? So, I think you have YouTube. Do you have
I do
YouTube?
have YouTube. Well,
You
slacking on YouTube.
slacking on
Mhm.
YouTube. That's okay. You also have Instagram, Facebook. Those are your standards.
Mhm.
And then I've been seeing a ton of content from TikTok. I think
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff has been going viral.
Yeah, so a good thing about TikTok is that you can create content on TikTok, and you can take that same content and put it out on your stories
Mhm.
on Facebook and Instagram, and put it as a reel on Instagram, and then you can put it on Twitter, and you can also put it on YouTube, which they have shorts
Yeah,
now
yeah,
and all
YouTube
that.
Shorts. Have you
So
done any of that yet?
no,
No.
I need to take all my
Everything and then port it
move
over.
there. But it's funny because I was initially not against TikTok. I just didn't understand TikTok,
Sure.
and then TikTok has been nothing but good to us.
Really.
Yeah. So
I saw one of the videos last time I checked, probably has like around 2 million views.
yeah,
What does that look like? I think it was the one where
Yeah.
Rio was retiring.
yeah, it's up to 19 million now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then on other platforms like Barstool shared it,
Sure.
and then some other major platforms, they had a lot more views than we did, obviously.
Sure.
So,
And
yeah.
what does that mean for like your organization?
It means a lot to the organization. It gets our name out there.
Sure.
And then one of the biggest things from that was that we were able to answer questions
Mm-hmm.
that people were asking in the comments. And my wife, of course, I have to give her credit. She was like, "You should answer some of those." And we don't usually do that.
Yeah.
But then those videos also went viral as well.
Sure.
So it helped raise awareness.
Oh,
really.
so for the viewers that maybe aren't so familiar with TikTok, I'm assuming that when you say reply, you're
Yeah.
actually taking the comment and
Yeah.
creating a video behind it
Yeah.
instead of just typing it
Yeah,
out,
instead
right?
of just answering, you can
Yep.
take it and then you create a whole new video.
That's
So,
awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. And you saw a ton of success with that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not 19 million, but really a lot more. And then obviously that got us more followers and got more eyes on the Canine Foundation, which drove traffic to our website and people just learning about it. So
Let's do some compare and contrast right
Mhm.
now, right? Because like I'm a big social media guy.
Mhm.
In terms of Instagram versus TikTok, if you
Mhm.
were to choose one of them,
man.
pros and cons, like which one would you go for?
So it's two different animals. I would say, in my opinion, Instagram, you have more of a personal interaction with the people that are following you on Instagram.
Okay.
And then on TikTok, it's a lot like what your previous guest had said. It just puts you out in front of a whole new audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously you can get connections with them, but I feel like TikTok is a little bit more
Worldwide.
worldwide and more fluid, like just open to more.
Do you think, have you seen kind of like these people that are not so close to the state of Georgia, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see anybody else kind of like either donating
Yeah.
or you do?
Yeah, we get donations from all over the
That's
country.
crazy.
Yeah. So we have our annual event in June every year, and people come from all across the country.
That's wild.
And then this year we have somebody coming from South Africa. So yeah, it's crazy.
How does that work?
Just we met on Instagram, or he heard about us on Instagram, and that's how we just kind of connected. And then he saw other people that he was friends with that supported us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned an annual event. When is that annual event?
Held this year, June 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's coming up quick.
Yep.
And tell me about kind of like what things are there. Obviously, I'm sure the canines are going to be out.
Yeah. So it all started with a board member, Tracy Mallory, who came up with the idea of having like a bigger fundraiser. And she called it the Evening for the Canines. And since then, it's just grown and grown and grown and grown. Grown to enough to a point where this year we're going to have to offer a Friday night event and then a Saturday event as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's going to be happen here in Statesboro?
Yep.
At what facility?
So the Friday night event is at the Community Crossroads Church.
Okay.
They're big supporters of us. Let us train and use their facility, which is very important. Like I said at the beginning, training is a big thing. And then Saturday's event is at the Oak Room at OTC.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's amazing. How do you, in terms of like in your eyes, right? Because obviously you are at the helm of kind of like growing this organization and helping it. You have obviously people that, you know, that you trust to kind of like help operate.
Mm-hmm.
But in your eyes, like, you know, could you have imagined where you are at today when you first started at the beginning?
You know, it sounds like a little arrogant to say, but I'm not super surprised because of how supportive everybody else is. This isn't, obviously, you know, there has to be somebody at the top, right?
Sure.
But it's not just me. It's, you know, the board members, it's handlers from across the country, handlers in the state of Georgia. Obviously, everybody that supports us. I couldn't, you know, we wouldn't be able to put this event on if we weren't able to have all that support.
That's right.
So I kind of knew it was going to be a big thing. It just took a little bit of time to get outside my comfort zone, one, and then to surround myself with the right people, and then obviously push it out there and put more content out there.
If you had any advice for someone that was, you know, wanting to start a nonprofit, what would you tell them?
Be patient and be real with yourself on like what you want, how big you want it to be.
Sure. Because I think nonprofits are not easy, right? Like not at all. Because you know, you guys are fundraising for the most part. Yeah.
And at certain levels, you know, politics come into play, business stuff comes into play. It's not just all fun and games. As much as it is fun and it is like you want to have passion about it, but at certain levels, like things get a little different and it can be stressful, and you know, you can spend anywhere between 5 hours a week, 1 hour a week, all the way up to 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
on top of your existing job.
You're already
Yeah. What has been one of the biggest challenges for the Georgia Canine Foundation?
At the beginning, it was really just being patient, and like anybody can relate to this, I think, but when you know you have something good and just like wondering why it's not out there yet, and then you just gotta have patience. So
do you remember feeling that?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
What was that like?
It's frustrating for me personally. Other people can handle it differently, of course.
Sure.
But it's very frustrating when you're like, this is something good. Like, I know it's something good, and why isn't this being pushed out more? And when you have good content, another piece of advice: when you have good content, just keep putting out that good content, because eventually something good is going to happen. Something good will come out of it.
When was that shift? Do you remember? Can you think back to when, like, you were like, oh, I'm struggling, and then all of a sudden, okay, it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
Was it gradual, or was it
gradual? There's been moments here and there, but it's kind of all a blur, really.
Yeah,
I just kind of just push through a lot of things and just know like this is working. So
that's cool.
yeah.
What about the future?
We're just going to continue to do what we're doing, and I think if we continue to do that, plus add on a few different things and more structure, and then we'll just continue to keep growing.
You think that you'll ever grow outside the state of Georgia?
No, I don't.
You don't want to?
personally want to. No, I think that kind of makes us a little unique. Is that we're state specific, and that we have a lot of support from across the country.
What in terms of like, is Georgia a heavier use of canines within their police force?
I think it's equal pretty much throughout all the states.
Yeah.
I just think that we're one of the only states that is really pushing it out the way that we're pushing it out.
Mm-hmm. Have you had other states reach out to you and say, how did you start this? How do you kind of like do something similar for their state?
Yeah. We've helped 3 that I know of off the top of my head kind of get going. That's what we're really more proud of as like a foundation, is that we've been able to kind of just show what we do and kind of lead by example, and that other people reach out and they're like, I want to do something like that. Maybe not at y'all's scale, or maybe we want to be at y'all's level, and we're more than supportive of everybody that asks us questions and tries to get us there. But Vegas Casino Foundation, Maryland Police Canine Foundation, and then there's a couple others that we've helped.
Vegas. So Vegas is actually, I mean, that's centralized to a specific location. It's not so much across like the state.
Yeah, and I think his name is Kyle as well, but he would have to speak more on exactly what it is. But the casinos are different than Vegas, but it's the Vegas Casino Foundation. But
got you.
It's structured in a way to where he's trying to assist the casino dogs.
Got you.
Right?
I guess there's a lot heavier use there than
There's a
normal.
lot of use. Yeah. There's a lot of use there. A lot of importance going behind that. And then, of course, Maryland Police Canine Foundation, Scott and his team, they do great work too.
That's really cool. Let's talk a little bit about when canines are like, where are they most effective at? So obviously, like the nose, right? In terms of like sniffing out things, they sniff out drugs, they sniff out bombs.
Yeah.
What else? What else do they?
They got them doing cell phones.
Cell phones.
Yeah, and some people like.
What are they picking up with the cell phones?
So the crazy here's like the obviously an extreme story, right?
Okay.
But a cell phone detection dog is used a lot in jails.
Okay.
Right, because you're not supposed to be using phones, whatever the rules are, whether you agree or disagree.
Sure.
I will say that one of the stories that I can relate to why cell phone dogs can be important is that we actually had a murder here locally like a few years ago, and whether you believe it or not, there was a member of a gang in another facility in another state that used a phone in jail to coordinate the incident. Yeah. So that's kind of why. So that's not just the only reason.
Sure.
But that's where dogs can deter stuff like that from happening.
I mean, I'm still stuck on the fact that they can actually sniff them out. Is it something that like the waves that like are given out?
I don't know all the science behind all of it, but you can train a dog if they have those personality traits and all that, drive and hunt and all that. You can pretty much train them to find anything you want. They have citrus tree disease dogs that's important. Obviously, they have dogs that can find specific foods for exporting reasons and stuff like that.
Heard truffle. There's truffle dogs.
They have all kinds of dogs out there. Yeah.
I'm sure those aren't the ones that are being used on the police force.
No. But all in all, like I think the main thing that they can all bring to the table is their mere presence. That kind of deters a lot of crime.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, how in what way? Just
being there.
Gotcha.
Being there, I think people knowing that they're there or seeing them, it can deter people from doing anything.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess like, for big events or whatever it is, having the dogs there actually helps.
Yeah.
And when they're in that state, when they're being seen at events, is there like a switch that you have to turn on in order for them to start looking for things, or are they just constantly just
this just depends on the dog, right?
Yeah.
So some seasoned dogs, like Rio at the beginning was just always wanting to search. And then as he got a little bit older, we worked on it really hard to kind of know, like right now, like calm down a little bit, and then hey, let's go to work. So
Yeah, that's super cool.
yeah.
So, I'm sure there's viewers out there that have pets at home that are maybe not nearly as obedient as kind of like these canines are trained to do. Do you think that every dog out there has the ability to, or is it something specific, innate, or hereditary that the dogs have that allow them to train up those skills?
I think that can be a topic that could be debated.
Sure.
It depends on the dog.
Yeah.
And most dogs, I feel like, need an activity or job. So being able to find, and when I say job, just something fun.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be a police department or anything like that. So finding something to do with that dog to give them some stimulation of some sort.
That's right.
Yeah.
You mentioned training within as one of the areas that you guys focus on. What does that look like? Are you taking them from puppy stage all the way into kind of like adulthood, or not adulthood, but rather to the point where they can be effective?
So for the foundation point, training, what we really try to do is make sure that handlers across the state are getting the right training. And so with obviously our support, we're able to bring in trainers that are really well known and really good, high quality trainers, bring them into the state and being able to teach those methods and everything like that.
Those trainers, are they specifically there to train specific traits, or is it rather like, do you have to be some sort of certification or something to be able to kind of like work with them? Or
we bring them in to basically do any type of training. So if a dog is having issues somewhere, or a team or a unit wants to work specifically on a certain thing like tracking, like we want to increase our tracking training, we'll bring in somebody that's really good at tracking, that has experience of being in law enforcement, has experience and can go in there and teach them certain things that they can apply to their training further on by themselves, and then apply it to the street to work.
Sure. And is there like, with these training sessions, I guess dogs take to them differently? Like, is it usually like the trainer's like, oh, boom, we got it, like it's already done?
Yeah, usually the dogs that are, with agencies and police departments, sheriff's departments, or offices, they're usually to a point where like there's not going to be many issues.
Got you. Because they've already had that training.
Yeah.
You think that starts at the early age?
Yeah, for sure.
You have to already get them.
I mean, there's some dogs obviously that are a little older that can get it, but they still have those traits early on. They just haven't been, like I said, like shown. They haven't been given the opportunity.
So let's throw it back to Rio, because one of my favorite topics, especially when talking about the Canine Foundation. He retired recently. What does that make you feel? Does that give you any type of emotion, or?
I'm not a super emotional person, but he
okay.
No, but he obviously has played a big role in my life,
sure,
especially with work and at home. I mean, we've spent 8.5 years together essentially. He hasn't gone on like a couple of vacations that I've been on, but for the most part, he's just been with me 8.5 years.
Yeah.
And so obviously there is some emotion there, but I kind of knew ahead of time, about a year out, that it was getting close.
Yeah.
So, it was just good to see so much support to just summarize basically what we had done for 8.5 years. That was a good moment.
That's awesome. What about like, some good memories with Rio? Like, do you have any like favorites that you like to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite ones is when he was just standing outside of the vehicle or whatever. We were going to go do a drug deployment, like a drug search. And long story short, he basically prevented somebody from running just by being there. And that person was wanted for a serious crime out of Atlanta. And he had been out on the run for quite some time. Not saying Atlanta's bad. I'm just saying he was from Atlanta.
Sure.
And so anyways, when they got up to Atlanta with the guy, the investigator called me and said, hey, the guy said that he just didn't run because he saw your dog there. So he just wanted to let me know. So that was good because this guy had been running for like 2-3 years and they'd been looking for him. So.
Super cool.
So just like I was saying, just the mere presence of him alone being there can prevent stuff.
You think Rio knows? Like you think the dogs know kind of like what's happening and what they're doing, or?
Yeah, I think dogs have obviously some senses that we don't, and can alert us to certain things or be aware of things before we are. Whether or not he knows like the totality of why this person may feel the way they're feeling by seeing him.
Sure.
Probably not, but he can probably sense it. Yeah.
What's Rio doing now?
He is recovering from a little bit of surgery he had.
Gotcha.
And then hopefully once we get past that, we can get him back to more of a normal retirement life.
And what does that look like? Just
just a lot.
Is he searching the house at all?
No, 'cause he's had a lot of downtime, so he knows at the house we like chill, but probably just relaxing. I mean, he deserves it, he's getting older, so he likes to sleep a lot more now, so he's probably not really bothered by it.
Love it. Well, where do people get in contact with you? If people have interest in kind of like reaching out, how can they help? Like, obviously we take, monetary donations, but
really those are great, obviously, and that helps, assist us in our mission, but we can't thank anybody enough for just like following, liking, sharing, because obviously that helps with algorithm and all that, but just going on there and showing support. We have a lot of people that aren't able to donate, money, but they support us by like sharing our mission and supporting us and liking our content. And if they want to reach out, Georgia Police Canine Foundation on pretty much any platform. And
is it K9 or
the letter K and the number 9?
GA?
You can either do GA or Georgia. It's usually spelled out Georgia Police Canine Foundation.
We'll drop the links on the screen just to kind of like have people view it. Is there anything else like you might want to throw out there for the audience?
No, we just appreciate everybody's support and you guys having us on, just helping us spread awareness. It's good.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing. I look forward to hearing about Rio's retirement days. And
he'll have some videos out, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Cool, man.
All right, thanks.
Well, that's the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Cool.